My name is Michael Jospe. I'm the founder of Earth Based Institute. I am here with Sean Riddle, Dr. Sean Riddle. And this video that we're doing right now is about an upcoming course that is going to be starting in early May. I wanted to introduce everybody to Sean and have some time to just talk about the details of this course. So, welcome, Sean.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, tell us about yourself a little bit.
I'm a naturopathic physician practicing in Helena, Montana. I've been practicing for about close to 20 years. So I'm excited to start bringing some of the things that I've been learning and have learned over that time to coaching. As I've evolved as a doctor, I'm starting to realize that the future is not in patients seeing me necessarily all the time, but in patients staying with uh, or developing a longer term relationship with a coach. And so that's how we're moving our practice. And I think it's an exciting opportunity for people who might be interested in that aspect of coaching.
So the practice that you're working out of in Helena is starting to open up to working with health coaches.
That's right.
Just hearing that is like really exciting for me, to think about the graduates of our program, be able to partner like that with different physician offices, naturopathic offices, and so forth to be able to really support the clients. The title of the course that Sean's going to be offering here is called Foundations of Health Coaching, an Introduction to the Gut. And why that course? Why Introduction to the Gut?
In my experience, that the majority of health problems are inflammatory based. And we've been learning recently over the past few years that somewhere between 60 and 80% of our immune system resides in the gut at any one time. So, other than some other kind of catastrophic problem, when someone has inflammation, it's usually coming from their digestive tract. And so, um, it behooves us to really know what's happening at the digestive tract level, and that can impact not only a person physically, but mentally. There's new research coming out now that shows that inflammation from the gut is directly related to some types of depression, even, right? So, um, I think what's going to happen in the next few years is that we're going to see a connection between a wide range of, of things that we thought were disconnected, but they're all going to come back to the digestive tract in some way.
It's interesting because as a professional coach and thinking about some of the goals that my clients might come to me with, like struggling to stay focused or wanting to follow through with greater capacity or feel more complete and whole in their life and so forth. you know I wouldn't have even right now I wouldn't have even known to ask questions about their physical health, because my focus as a coach is more on the psychology of what is the client might be experiencing, and how do you support them to set goals to move towards health in that direction. And this just professionally seems to open up a whole nother world of questioning that I'd be able to bring into my clients. What would be an indicator that there might be something going on digestively for somebody if I'm listening to something that they're talking about in their life? Like, what would be some of the key
Well,
indicators that I would be
I'll give
looking
you
for?
things, heartburn. And while those are pretty direct signals that there's something going on with the digestive tract, what I've learned, for instance, is probably all of your coaches are really aware and tuned into the issues with stress that people are under. But one thing I started to realize about 10 years ago is that my client's stress hadn't changed, wasn't changing. It wasn't getting worse. By and large, their work lives and their family lives had stayed the same. And so I started to think about what are those other stresses, and inflammatory stress is a big one, right? And very often I can't do anything about their home life or their work life, right? But I can do something about their digestive tract. And so sometimes dealing with that is enough to nudge them back biochemically back into a state where they can recover, right? So they can buffer the stress that they have because we can take care of that one part that I can have control over, right?
Yeah. It's interesting because you're talking about things that seem pretty medical here. Markers and cholesterol levels and biochemical markers and so forth. So, one of the things that we're excited about with this course is bringing in lab work into this for the students. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So I thought what would be fun is to use ourselves and take a look at what's actually going on with ourselves. So what we're going to do in this intro course is we're going to have everyone do a DNA stool analysis. It's called a GI map, and this is sort of a relatively new test that's available at this point in time, where we take a small stool sample and we can look at the DNA of what's growing in the gut. We're also going to add into that a test called an organic acids test, and that's a urine test. And what that does is that looks at these metabolites of different things that are going on in your body, and you can get an idea of different types of organisms that may be living in your gut, including mold. But you get a huge array of markers also for how your mitochondria are working. This is the powerhouse of the cell. You guys might remember back from university or high school biology, right? So can tell us how we are or are not utilizing energy. So we're going to use both of those for each person, and we're going to get an idea of, we're going to, obviously learn how to work with clients in that kind of a way, but
Yeah.
hopefully how to make a change yourself too, right?
Yeah.
Have however many people in the course, we're going to have that many examples to work off of, and so
Right.
I'm betting we're going to have the whole gamut of the different things that you can see that are off.
Wow. So I think also professionally, in terms of like, how this might help me as a professional coach, would be just being able to work closely with you through this in terms of like, how would I as a coach communicate with you regarding a client scenario? So it seems like this is going to cover like almost layers of opportunities for somebody in this program, not only your personal health in this, but being able to look at lab work and understand what you're looking at, be able to have those discussions with the doctor, and know how to communicate regarding a client's needs. And what else are you hoping that people walk away with from this course?
Well, I'm hoping that they can add another aspect to the way they think about their clients in terms of, are there, because I think it's so easy for us to get, including myself, to get into our box. We're seeing life through different colored glasses, right? And so we interpret the same thing through different lenses, right? And what I'm hoping to do is open that up a little bit, so that at the very least, coaches can recognize when there might be a physical component that can really help a person get to the next level, right? So at the very least, to be able to refer or to
Yeah.
hopefully to start working with them yourselves in that kind of a way.
Yeah, that's wonderful. One of the things that, EBI is about, bringing nature and our connection to nature into our coaching work and guiding work and into our own personal lives and so forth. And we are nature, right? I mean, our gut is nature. um and I wonder if you could speak a little bit to just the nature connection side of this. And you have such a background in nature connection yourself as well, and just wondering how you see these nature connection tying in.
In my work, unfortunately, I think people want often they want an herb or a supplement to replace a drug. But my challenge, and I think where coaches come into this mix, is that I need them to shift how they live, right? I need them to shift how they interact with the environment. I need them to be open to the things that nature can do for them, right?
Yeah, that's really interesting. So it's almost like, as a doctor, you're seeing how the ways that a coach could really enhance the clients, your patients, um, progress towards health, in ways that might even just go beyond what you're working with, but bringing in some of the other coaching techniques and skills that, a nature connected coach might have.
So
Do you want to say anything about who this course is for?
this is for anyone who has both a personal but a professional curiosity about how expanding their business or expanding their coaching into the health field um, might open up new opportunities for them. And coaches who are really interested in the hands-on aspects and relationship building aspects and of of um, nurturing someone back to health and recognizing that probably the relationship is probably at least as important or more or even more important
Yeah.
than the interventions that the supplements they're going to take or that kind of thing, right? So for people who are interested in adding that healthcare perspective to their relationship building with clients, I think that would be the ideal person for this course.
And I think too that like this ties into something we could talk about in just a moment, which is also kind of the general direction that EBI is moving in with health coaching, and how this course fits into a bigger process of actually becoming a health coach, because that takes some steps to get to that point. But this is definitely a movement in that direction. The cost of the course is $1,100, and it's an 8-week program. And so that includes and in each session is 2 hours long. It's run through Zoom. So that's about 16 hours of direct instruction with you. And the cost includes the labs, right? So that's about a $600 value right there, just in lab work. That is part of the course. I'm wondering if there's anything you want to say about how those 8 weeks might be structured.
Obviously, there's going to need to be a little bit of didactic, a little bit of lecture, or maybe a lot of lecture. But I love the group dynamic, and I love the class discussion, and I love picking. Prior to going to medical school, I was a teacher, so I really like the idea of there's almost always someone in your audience that knows a little bit of something that you can grab onto and start with, and then get things rolling, right? So obviously, with let's say there's 12 participants, we're going to have 12 sets of labs too. So there's going to be a lot of case study and a
Mhm.
lot of sort of, you know, I don't want it to sound daunting, but a little bit of homework, right? Like I really want to see how people think about things. And in this, this direction, there's a name that goes to this type of looking at the body, and we call it functional medicine right now.
Right.
And functional medicine isn't completely figured out, right? That to me is why it's so exciting. There's different ways of looking at things and different solutions that seem to work in different ways. And so I'm interested in how everybody thinks about things, and I want to know why they think about things that way, and not because I want to correct them, but I might integrate those into how I think about things.
Yeah,
So
right.
maybe a lot of
Yeah.
group interaction, I guess, is what I'm saying. And some some obviously some basics that people are going to need to know about how the gut functions and what happens when it's not functioning correctly, and also other allied health professionals that you can bring into your client-centered approach. For instance, there's a modality called visceral manipulation that I often refer out for, right? When these biochemical problems get um, either intense enough or they've been around long enough, they often cause something called adhesions, which we'll talk about in detail. But basically, the organs don't move on each other like they should. They
Mm.
get stuck, right? And so we're going to talk about modalities like that you can also integrate into your complete program for your patient or from your client.